Motion come out adjournment.
May I have a second to go into public, or to, back to our meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No time.
Okay. We will move on to ordinance 1911. Just one second here.
You want to read mine?
No, I have to just flip it, sorry. Capital ordinance providing for various improvements to the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating therefore the sum of $292,800 and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund and capital fund balance of the township. This authorizes funds for the various capital items. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1910 with a public hearing to be held June 24th, 2019?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Carreri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Alberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. Next, we have ordinance 1912, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 16-17, authorizing purchase of real property commonly known as 9 Wisteria Court and identified as Lot 2, Block 92 on the tax map of the Township of Vernon. This amends the previous ordinance for this property. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1910 with a public hearing to be held on June 24th? May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second? I'll second it. Roll call?
Councilmember Carreri?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Alberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. Next, would you like, we'll do the second public session, or do you want to go to the discussion of those two items? What is your choice here, council?
Do the second public session?
Yeah.
Okay. May I have a motion to
Motion.
open the floor to public? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone to the public that would like to step forward and have any comment on anything? Please do.
Good evening, Zoe Heath. I live in the Hidden Valley section of Vernon. I have enough to say. I say where I live, that's fine. I just wanted to point out that I emailed both the council president and the mayor this afternoon about a potential proclamation declaring June LGBTQ plus Pride Month. This June will be the 50th anniversary of the first celebration of Pride in New York City in 1969. So I just want to formally put it in the minutes that there was a request from a member of the public, and I'm sure there are many more. So, thank you.
I did see it, but...
Oh, I'm sure you guys get busy, but I just wanted to put it in the minutes and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is there anyone else from the public? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close?
Motion.
I have a first and a second from John.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor? Any opposed? Okay. So if we could go back to our discussion items. Where did they go? I can't find them on the sheet today. I know, they're right here. The first one is the ordinance of the Township of Vernon for its chapter 509 of the municipal code. It's for transient accommodations, or more so as the, like the I can't think of it.
Airbnb.
Thank you. Let me just, I have to back up, go back through my notes here, because I mingled to them.
That one. It's the one without any. It's just the
Here it is.
19. Doesn't have like this one.
So did everyone read this proposal? And I know the mayor had sent in some comments. Did you read some of them? One of the things that I wanted to discuss and find out is, does anyone, like Airbnb, that company, do they actually have like a self-reporting type thing that they'll actually report if they have a renter through there?
I would just be making assumptions. This is only an assumption. Maybe someone else knows better than I do how this works. You make the payment, and the place you're making the payment to is registered with them, and they collect all the money, and then they disperse it. But again, I don't know how the internal or business plans are or anything.
I do not know if Airbnb self-reports.
Or do they actually, if they have somebody that's applying, will they just send you the money? But
I'm not sure about that either, but I do believe that Airbnb is aware of local ordinances that require a portion of the fees to be paid to the municipality. If the council would provide me with guidance, or the mayor, I'd be happy to reach out to Airbnb and find that out.
would the council agree? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But I'm not sure that we know, if anybody really knows, how many of these Airbnbs are actually in Vernon.
Only estimations.
What kind of estimations do you have?
147. At one time last year, I went on the internet and I counted like 98. So I guess it's safely to assume 100.
Yeah, because I know, and did that include any of the hotels, do you know? Right.
Included those located in the Appalachian also.
So if it's in the hotel and they're paying a hotel tax, would they also, they wouldn't be
If they're
subject to
paying,
that?
the way the revised ordinance is drafted, that if the fee will be collected as part of the collection of the hotel tax, so if the hotel tax is paid,
Right.
this would be added to it. The goal with the ordinance would be to, as revised, would be to get the township out of the business of collecting the tax and have it be collected and remitted to the town as part of the hotel tax that the town currently receives.
So this way, that would eliminate necessarily having an employee that has to do much of the work.
Yeah, my understanding of some of the problems with Airbnbs in the Appalachian, and again, this is an assumption, and this is somebody that was just telling me this problem, is they don't put their room in the hotel program. They put it in the Airbnb. So the Appalachian's not getting anything from them. They are just paying directly to Airbnb, or one of the other short terms.
Well, they would probably know that best because of it being a hotel desk.
Well,
I
one
would
of the
think.
owners actually complained to me about Airbnb, that they're renting it out and they're not paying the tax because they're not in the program.
I guess that's something, though, that they'd have to really police themselves. They're not getting it because the people are walking into their lobby.
Right?
So, but I just look at it and say, can we have something, Josh, that is, as far as the owners themselves of these homes being, self-reporting. Now, if they're self-reporting and they don't report, just like if you're renting out a property and you don't register that you have a tenant there, but if you're not self-reporting and it is, we do find it, or if the fire marshal receives a call of a complaint and we find out, maybe giving them 30 days to comply. After that, as you propose, having some type of a fine imposed, but at least giving them time to comply. I don't know if anybody else has any.
We can put that in.
Just something like that. Now, and I know the mayor mentioned about adding Chapter 263 for fire prevention. So I guess for clarification, that would be the only purpose because the fire marshal already has his ability to, for lack of better words, say police this, but he can only act on complaints.
Unless they're registered as a rental, he inspects all rentals.
Right.
So these would need to be inspected, and that's my major concern, because some of the pictures that were on the internet, and if you take the internet for what it's worth, was one like a little house trailer.
Mhm.
I'm like, what kind of fire prevention is in that? What kind of smoke detectors? What kind of carbon monoxide detectors are in that? It has to be for the safety.
Right, but he already has the authority to have them comply. Like, if we add this to our ordinance, we're just notifying them. We're not doing anything to strengthen his authority, because he already has the authority.
Well, I think that's more up to council to decide, does it have to be there or not? My purpose is, I want to make sure they're inspected so they're safe.
Okay, I'll check the current ordinance to see what requirements presently exist for owners of homes and the ability of the fire marshal to inspect. If there needs to be an appropriate addition made.
Because as far as I know, like I said, he can't just knock on the door. He can only act on a complaint.
Yeah, and where I got that from, I studied dozens of ordinances from other jurisdictions, some in New Jersey, some as far away as Colorado, and I kind of just piecemealed what applied to Vernon on it, and almost every single one had something about the inspections. So, but again, doesn't mean our code might be sufficient, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So are we definitely going to be mandating that the fire department inspect these before they're rented?
Well-
Or are we just allowing him to if necessary?
The fire department is supposed to, like, that's what I'm saying is, he already has his,
Right.
his marching orders. Like, we're not, if anything, if we put that in the ordinance, we're just notifying people of it, but he already has the authority to do that.
Okay.
Does that, I mean,
I think that's correct.
Yeah,
I think
just
under
a little
state law,
fuzzy.
any rentals have to be inspected, it might
Right.
be twice a year.
right,
Okay.
but he already, that's what I'm saying, whether, it being in there only, I'm gonna say alerts people,
Okay.
but it doesn't take it away, it doesn't enhance it anymore, it just kind of alerts people to it because it already exists.
And voluntary compliance is always the way to go. So we have to alert them, notify them, so they don't say, I didn't know. But I agree, they should always be given a time span, 30 days, whatever, to come in compliance. I mean, whether it's traffic, fire, you always want voluntary compliance and not play the heavy hand. You know, that's why we send out a notification of a violation if it's a zoning or building, to give the applicant or the person time to rectify the situation before we actually administer a summons.
Goes back to that wordage, may or shall.
Yeah.
Shall. And on the hotel tax, do you know offhand what we currently collect a year? Or is it an approximate? I mean, if you don't know,
I
that's.
would say $226,000, am I
Yes.
close?
Over
220?
over 200,000.
Okay, and that's from the hotel tax.
Mhm.
And would zoning be handling this? Like, who would be, what depart, like, as far as, if there's, is there any other department that's involved in this? I mean, other than fire and zoning?
Just the money part would be going to financial.
Because I was just wondering, depending on how this pans out, so to speak, and what's involved, and I'm not even sure, does the part-time person they have there, how many days does he work? I didn't look at that. Do you know if he's?
I think his hours are like 22, 24 hours a week. The days can change. I think on Tuesdays he's in court. But we're flexible there because especially when we had all the dumping issues, he was being called in when we thought we really needed him.
Because I'm just wondering, knowing with the vacant property and everything, how that office has been burdened. And I know that there's been time where they said they really didn't need a full-time person, but I guess I'm just throwing it out there saying, if this comes to fruition and there's, and I don't know whether, the employee would want it, but if, depending on the number of days he works, whether or not that could be increased.
Well,
if
until we
needed.
start seeing if self-report works, how much money's coming in. I mean, if we're bringing in another 100,000 and you have to hire somebody at 15 or 18,000 a year, you're making the money on it. and
Well,
we're keeping
that's
the
what I'm
public
saying is
safe.
though, but if you have somebody that's there, I'm just saying, gee, I don't know how many hours he works and whether or not it could be increased, whether he wanted it to be increased because it's a job that's already being performed by a part-time person, just increasing the hours and keeping him part-time.
We're going to have much more time as we pull in this dumping issue is being alleviated. Also, the abandoned houses are being alleviated because they're selling. So we're just moving on from one situation, addressing it, to another situation we'll address. So as we get through these other issues, then there'll be more time to address them. And they've been very active. I mean, when I first came, one of the first marching orders was get all these abandoned cars, trailers, et cetera, off these private properties, because that was so many complaints. It wasn't done in the past, and they did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I don't know how many dozens just out of Scenic Lakes. They had the people remove the cars.
Any questions on any of this?
So we'll revise the ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, maybe revise it and then we'll take a look at it and see if there's,
Okay.
but it would be interesting to know about Airbnb, what they do.
Yep.
I mean, I know there's other companies that do this, but I think they're primarily the main one.
Everybody knows Airbnb.
Yeah.
They've done a great marketing job.
All right, and the next one we have for discussion is the ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending certain portions of Chapter 99 entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 50 entitled Hiring Off-Duty Police Officers of the Township Code. So, does anybody have any comments, suggestions, anything?
No.
I mean, when they're doing these on these jobs, they use the police vehicles.
Yes.
So, just so everyone's aware. I bring that up, Dan Kadish would have brought that up, so I'm bringing that up for Dan. We read his proclamation tonight, so I just thought I'd, but is there any, nothing? Good, because it was just amending the one section of it, remember now. All right, done with that discussion. So we will move on now to the mayor's report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, special shout out to the Van Blarkum family for their flag deployment along the Memorial Day parade route. Approximately 300 flags lined the parade route. Much appreciation to all those who plan to participate in the Memorial Day parade. Please take the time to observe the Preston Gardens also in front of our town hall building. DPW did a fantastic job weeding and spreading the mulch. You had a beautification committee, township scouts. The Democratic Committee donated flowers, as did Carol Kadish. Lauren Dombrowski of PAC 183 and 212, she's also the Cub Roundtable Commissioner, writes, "The kids love working on the garden and the Lost Trail. We've been going every Wednesday after school for a few hours. The scouts and parents that have chosen to be involved are really gaining that sense of ownership, and that is making it such a wonderful and unforgettable experience." So it's another thing, they're helping their community and they're learning to be part of that community. And it's always great when they take ownership of their work and accountability. A big thank you to Michelle Downton and Denise Urbaniak for a fantastic six-week hiking program, Pavement to Pinwheel. They showed the residents different hiking spots in Vernon. Approximately 60 participants enjoyed our trail adventures. For myself, it was the first time really challenging my new knee, and I did fall twice on the way up to the pinwheel, but we survived. But it was really a fantastic program, and people were like, we didn't even know these trails existed. So, you know, she's exposing. The Recreation Committee, as you saw tonight, they just do great work. Much appreciation to the GAC, especially Tony, Chili, and Sherry, for the successful farmers market. We've talked about this for almost 3 years. The market will continue throughout the summer and fall. The next market is scheduled for June 15th. So they're running it once a month, and it's on the Saturdays. We don't want to be in competition with like the Warwick market. Ice Cream with a Cop is June 1st, and at 1 p.m. our police department will unveil art created by the Vernon Township High School students to be displayed on the police entrance doors. Ice cream is donated by Dairy Swirl, and several of our officers are volunteering to dish out the ice cream. So they got 300 cones down there, but I think they're going to need more. I'm going to be first in line, so I just think it's another great job. I mean, Randy Mills was taking this police department in the right direction, and he gave the reins over to Dan, and Dan is doing all this community service stuff, and the troops are falling right in line. And when they volunteer to come out and scoop ice cream on a Saturday morning, you know they're all buying into the program. So it's really great for the community. Vernon Day is June 2nd, and the Hawthorne Caballeros will be performing for all the attendees. The show is free as a token of gratitude for allowing the Cabs to practice on the Vernon and Board of Ed fields. So if you've never seen the Cabs play, you really have to treat yourself to it, because it's just awesome as a drum and bugle corps. On June 25th and July 19th of last year, I requested the council an ordinance amendment to permit further feather flags. I'm hearing this from the businesses again. With the council approval, I'd like to go forward and change the code to permit feather flags in an effort to promote commercial interest. I will forward the changes and recommendations to you, but here's what I have now coming from zoning. Feather flags cannot exceed 10 feet in height, one flag per business, must be 6 feet off the roadway edge or curbing. The flag cannot obstruct view and will be signed off by the Vernon Police Department. You may have a feather flag or a sandwich board. You may not have both. When the flag is ripped or damaged, it must be taken down. You must get a zoning permit to display a feather flag. Feather flags are to be uniform colors of blue and gold, whatever. Do we want to do this? Is it going to be a question? I'll copy this all down. I'll email it to you, and perhaps we can put it on for an item of discussion to see. And really, what I did was I went up to the Candy Apple store, which is one of my favorite stores in town, and I was discussing it with them. And they asked me again about it. So, and I want to bring it to the council that I have this request, and you know, we need your support and your guidance on how we want to get this done for the businesses, if you chose to do so. I don't know. It's you're the highest body,
Right,
voting
but
body.
I think way back when I was on the land use, I think it was something that we actually addressed, sandwich boards and everything, so that's why I'm just asking. So maybe.
That's another legal question, I don't know.
I'm not sure offhand, but I'll find out.
Well, Kim might know.
All right, so we'll find out on that, but I'll get that out to you. Last July 9th, 2018, I expressed that Governor Murphy drain the swamp and get to the high ground. Our community has experienced pushback from the DEP agencies on such issues as railroad ties in the wetlands, legends, and dumping on silver spruce. Getting the state to move forward on environmental and safety issues has been a nightmare, marred in red tape, with an I can't do attitude. And the owner of the illegal landfill in Silver Spruce, the Attorney General was prosecuting today, the attorney or whatever, they didn't give paperwork, so we're going to wait for a decision. Tomorrow we're down in Gillette, and Allison's going to testify on the 95 summonses she has issued. So I don't know if they're going to get them all done in one day. I do want to point out that most state employees do work hard and want to solve problems without fears of reprisals. The DEP needs to self-evaluate its goals, objectives, organization, and its policies. I think they need to look you start from the top and work your way down, and with your resolution tonight, you actually called for that. They need to self-evaluate. So we need to show the bureaucrats the pathway out of the swamp and continue to create an environment with a can-do attitude, and this community has done a can-do attitude in going after and solving this problem on Silver Spruce. But I have to caution you, this is going to take years. You got to get it declared a site. You're going to have to look for money, and all the money, whether it even comes from the federal government, goes through the DEP. So this is not over for a long shot, but this community has come together to fight this illegal dumping in our community. So we did it as a community. We continued the VFW tradition of the parade. And I really think everybody came together. I've received nothing but positive feedback on Samus Road. It was nice because we control the road. We didn't have to have the permits other than our own permit, which we waived their fee. Parents were telling me it's great. There was a lot of open land. The parking was easy. We had porta-johns up there anyway for the baseball and softball fields. The walk is pretty easy. And then we ended up right at the school and had the flag and everything there. So I really thought the community really did a great job coming together and having this parade. So let's continue to improve our community by building a trail system that serves all our community, especially those with disabilities and seniors. I know Patrick and I don't want to be stealing your thunder, but we've had these discussions. I've said it before. We need trails here and to get the ADA compliant. And I'm not saying the whole trail because it would be a lot of money, but let's get every part of our population the opportunity to enjoy the outdoors. Okay, municipal government, we all know is a balancing act between services provided and property taxes. We as a municipal government should be judged by how we serve and legislate for all sectors of our population in a financially responsible manner. I know it's difficult. We all are living this right now, so thank you.
Next, council comments. Councilmember Allberger.
I think I used up mine.
Cat, got your tongue? I will go to Councilmember Carreri.
Of course, why not?
I know.
You know. Just a quick note on the resolution asking for resignation of DEP Commissioner and associates. That came about before the DEP meeting that we attended. And we put it on hold in the hope that we would find a cooperative spirit and a willing partner to help go through the next steps as we go toward stopping dumping in more than just that one site and cleaning up and remediation. And that spirit wasn't there, at least from the other side. And I hate to say the other side. We should all be on the same team. So in addition to that, personally, I feel like there needs to be an independent investigation into what went wrong, where it went wrong within the DEP. And I don't know who would head an investigation like that, but it needs to be done soon because there are other sites like this popping up. That's really it. Thank you.
Thank you.
No comments.
No?
No?
Nothing at all?
People have spoke.
People spoke. John spoke. Yes, and thank you, by the way, for reading that resolution, because I did ask Councilmember Carreri, since it was really his idea.
Thank you for the glass.
If he would read it in full, because I think it was important that everybody hear exactly what was in it. Other than that, I mean, I did go to the parade. I have to agree with the mayor that it was a much easier walk because I did not have to walk uphill. It was pretty even, so it was nice, and the weather was beautiful. And there was a huge crowd because I think it was a little more condensed, but there were tons of people, you know, there with their kids and with their pets, everything. So it really, I mean, it was a perfect day. So, other than that, I motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll second that. Aye.